to, I think there shouldn't be any deep meaning in tattoo, because you make it just, you want it to be part of you, and there is nothing that like something special, and you just make it because you liked it and you want it to be part of your body.
For me, some way to express yourself, something that you can tell that you like this or that. It's not something really special, but I guess for some people it has like deep meaning.
It has a special emotional meaning. Represents a part of my life that was full of exploration, and I happen to be in a very special part of the world, in Scotland, and I associated my spiritual and emotional growth with that land that provided that space for me. So that's what it means.
For me, a tattoo is a reminder of something that's really important.
Tattoo is, for me, is kind of tool for self-expression, and it's something that can stay in your life like for the whole your lifetime, that will not disappear, and that will not that will not change, and it will stay here forever. And it's, for me, kind of art. It's not kind of art, it is art. It's just something you put on your body, which is art itself, and you put art on art.
It means nothing comes from nothing, and this is kind of my life motto, so I just decided to do this tattoo.
There's no like special story, but still the fact that I really like wolves, their lifestyle. That's why I got a tattoo of a wolf.
All of them signify a particular moment in my life. I never did a tattoo in haste. It was over a period of a year where I would consider which tattoo would best symbolize the change that I had gone through. So I have a tattoo, for instance, my first tattoo, when I was 40, and it was after New Year's, and I thought, how am I going to welcome the next part of my life? And that's how my first tattoo was. It was a very classic little rose in a very particular part of the body. I think everybody starts with a tattoo. And then I have a tattoo where I felt I needed to let the lion out, roar, but I didn't want to have it in a visible place, so I did it at the back, a big tribal lion with the tongue going, roaring out. I forget sometimes that it's there, but I think that's what it represents for me. And then I have a tattoo that means freedom, and I was exploring the concept of freedom and what it means, and then I thought freedom by itself doesn't mean much unless it's focused. And I found this beautiful medieval sign which says, I have my eyes wide open on my path. And I thought that's what is gonna go with my freedom, that it's a freedom that is focused into a journey that takes me to a space of exploration. So yeah, that's some of the meanings of my tattoos.
My tattoo consists like 3 flowers, and I have 2 sisters that are my age, and we were growing up together. We are together like anytime we can. And the first one is the older sister, and then the second one is me, and this one is the youngest one. So this tattoo is for them, that they're always with me, despite the fact that they're in different city, country, and all that stuff. And I feel kind of support when I think about them.
So I think my tattoo is of an hourglass, and I got that because it's really important to make the most of each passing moment, and I wanted to have something that reminded me of that life is finite, and we can't afford to waste time. So I wanted to have something on my wrist that, whenever I looked at it, would remind me that actually you've got to make the most of each passing moment.
Like the idea to do a tattoo came to me when I was 15 years old, and I was thinking, what should I do? Like, which picture, what want I to draw, and blah blah blah. But then, when the day came to do this tattoo, I was looking for Latin phrases, and I was like, oh, alter ego. I want to do alter ego, and now it's alter ego.
there's no any bad reactions that I faced in Kazakhstan, because like even I asked from my parents before I made this tattoo, and they kind of allowed. The only condition was to make it in place that I can hide if necessary. But I faced only kind of bad reaction in Naren. People can comment it, say something, but nothing more than this. So I think reaction is now like okay.
That's a lot of pressure on person when, especially in my hometown, when they see a person with tattoo. So they say that it's not something in our culture, in our religion, and like that. But I don't think it's something connected to religion and culture. I think it's more of personal and individual. So yeah, it's hard, but it's changing, and lots of people are getting tattoo now in horror. Okay, my experience, like people didn't really accept it nicely. They said that I'm a wrong person, I'm going on the wrong path and all this stuff, but I guess maybe this can something that they want, but they're afraid to do that. That's because they criticize others. And it's for me like that. I see it like this way. The only people that supported me were my family members, because I asked permission from them first, and then they are okay with it. So they helped me a lot with coping with the pressure of society, and now I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't really listen to what they say, the society.
My tattoo is in a hidden place, and mostly people don't see it. But once we went to spa salon, like there were not only our group of people but also others, and they were looking and talking about something. I wasn't like, paying attention for that, but I think that they were talking like, she's a girl, she's so young, how can she do it? Like it's her body and blah blah blah. But I tell about this tattoo only to people like who is not judging, and even if they are judging, like I say, so what? It's my body. You shouldn't care about it.
Well, unfortunately, in Western societies, tattoos have always been linked to people who've been in prison or sailors. So what do you do for months on sea? You tattoo yourself on the next port you get out. But we forget that most of the indigenous cultures around the world had a tradition of tattooing. So for instance, in the Pacific, in New Zealand, Aotearoa, Maori used tattoo as a way of, for instance, of signifying what is your role in that society. So often, for instance, the moko here or here will show your profession, your skill, whether you're a fisherman or a carver. So it had a significance. And so we tend to forget that because indigenous cultures have become, they were colonized and they lost the value. So we've lost that connection that tattooing our body was one way of expressing ourselves culturally, socially, indicating our links to nature, to our community. So talking about stigma, I remember when I had my first visible tattoo, a friend of mine in Britain said, "Oh my God, and what did your colleagues say?" And I'm living in New Zealand, and New Zealand, people used to have 1 in 3 people have a tattoo. So I thought, the thought never really occurred to me that my colleagues would disapprove. And then I realized that in a lot of other societies, tattoo carries a stigma. And perhaps it carries the fear of rebellion. That's what most societies actually want to instill in you, because they want young people to be part of the collective norms and values. So a tattoo symbolizes something of rejection, and this is why perhaps it's been stigmatized.
Now, tattoo is becoming something common among teenagers and young people, but when it comes to older generation, it's kind of taboo. And honestly, before getting a tattoo, I didn't tell anyone. I just got it, and then my mom found out about it like 3 months later, and she wasn't talking for me like 2 days, but still she was okay. But when it comes to my grandmother, they have a tattoo. They do have, that's why they didn't pay attention. But what about others? They were concerned about my parents. They were like, "Oh, what did your parents tell you? Didn't they beat you up? Didn't they argue with you and all that stuff?" And some people, some women especially, they were like, you will not have a husband because of it. You will get rid of it. Like times will come and anyways. And they were like, why did you do that? Why did you ruin your body? It stays his forever, and when you become older, it will look terrible. And I was like, no, it will not. So, but in overall, like in basically, it's not something. Wow, many people have